So it's 12:04, and Stand Up to Racism have set up a commie stand, I don't know, standing up to patriotism, you know, in Rosary Park in Epsom. We've got a stand over there, canopy thing, got a bunch of canopies, balloons, this and that, you know, and toilets, yeah. You know, and it makes you wonder, because nobody showed up, it makes you wonder, who's paid for this? Who's paid for this? Who? You know? And I'll tell you who's paid for it. You have. Because Stand Up to Racism is funded by trade unions. And trade unions are, at least in part, funded by you, the taxpayer. And so you're paying for this. You're paying for this wokery and nonsense, which nobody has shown up, you know. And, you know, I've lived in Epsom my entire life. I don't recognise any of the people who are here. Maybe, I think I saw Helen Maguire earlier, you know. I guess, you know, she's the MP for here, but like, nobody local, no local organisations, you know. This isn't a local, you know, festival stand thing. It's something that is, you know, paid for at taxpayer expense, at your expense, you know, for your expense, so that they can, you know, virtue signal lies that patriotism is racist and our flag is racist. You know, that the St. George Cross is racist, which is an attack on the Christian faith. And then, you know, it's abstracted, you know, because they're commies, but they're not, you know, it's not all out there. You know, they'll affiliate with commies, they'll affiliate with Revolutionary Communist Party, they'll affiliate with Antifa, etc. I think I've just seen, actually, that there's the Methodist church minister over there, which is a bit disappointing to see. You know, they're all doing their own kind of thing by the stage, hanging out, you know. Maybe a couple of people from here, but, you know, they're the same people who, you know, condemned people for wanting to demonstrate after it was understood that a young woman had been raped outside of that church, potentially by illegal migrants. And yes, there aren't migrant hotels in Epsom, but there are, you know, probably HMOs. There are definitely migrants working illegally in Epsom, and they don't follow the road rules. And, you know, these guys don't care. These guys aren't for law and order. You know, they're not for protecting the border. They're the ones chanting, no borders, no nations. Rather, no borders, no nations, stop deportations. And that's what they want. They don't want a border, they don't want a nation. Not when it's a Christian one, not when it's got a Christian heritage. Not when it's grounded in morals and tradition. They want anti-morals, they want anti-tradition, they want to rewrite the nation and its culture. Because communists have to do that. That's the only way that they can do that. Get in power, as in, you know. And, you know, these guys are using human trafficking and, you know, the issues around illegal migration and migrants invading this country and or being exploited by human traffickers. You know, a lot of them don't make it to this country. They get enslaved in Libya on their way from, you know, sub-Saharan Africa, Central Africa. They get caught in Libya and they get sold for what, £300, you know, into slavery, and, you know, they never make it here. And then other people, they die, you know, in the Mediterranean, You know, they die in the channel. They get in the back of lorries, or into lorries, or inside lorries, get on dinghies, come here. And these people seem happy about it because it advances their agenda, and it can't be put up with because it might seem all nice, you know, the reggae music and the stand beaches and the balloons and everything, but this is a subversion of the culture. This is an erasure of the culture, and it's people who engage in the culture rather than people who engage in the culture. And, you know, you're paying for it. You're paying for it. And it's dressed up to look nice while it happens. So, got the Green Party here as well, of course. You know, Zach Blansky is a traitor to the country. He's gone over and, you know, done activism, terrorism with the NGOs, you know, enabling the traffickers, you know, in Dunkirk and Calais and, you know, those types of areas. Loom Plant, the big encampment, and the beaches. And yeah, they've paid to have a stand here as well. An area where they didn't even do well, but they've got the money because, you know, you're paying for it. That's the conclusion, and that's the main point is, you know, you're being replaced and you're paying for it, are making it look pretty. And it's not going to end well. Because underneath this, they are violent revolutionaries, them and all the people they associate with. And we need to crack down on it before it gets to that. Because it will get to that. It's what happens with communism. You know, the unholy alliance between Islamists and communists. They always team up, and one inevitably eats the other once they get in power. It's the same thing which happened in the Soviet Union. You know, Stalin appeased Islamists in the Soviet Union. He gave slightly nicer treatment to them than to Christians. Still went after them, like, later on, but, you know, tried to play nice until they got in power. China, you had the violent revolutionaries, you know, the Great Leap Forward, Iran, the Iranian Revolution, and Yugoslavia, Albania. It's unfolded again and again and again, and it's happening now. We have to stop it before it gets worse. At the very least, we have to stop paying for it.